Thank you for taking time with us this morning, Thomas Rhett. How are you?
I'm good. I was woken up at about 6 this morning with jackhammering on my house. So I'm doing great. I'm about 4 cups of coffee in, and that's pretty much described my morning so far.
What makes you stand out? What's something unique about your show for the people that haven't seen Thomas Rhett perform live before?
It's pretty energetic, man. We don't really ever stop moving and bouncing around. So it's a little complicated to sit down for the majority of our show. So if you're going to come, make sure you bring comfortable shoes so that you can stand up and dance and bring money for beer and T-shirts and all that good stuff.
I don't know if people realize that you're a young guy and you've been so incredibly successful already. Do you wake up in the morning and think, wow, is this really happening right now? Is this going on?
I usually wake up and ask myself, how do we get to the next level? I think that's how my brain constantly works. Usually during the holidays is when I try to actually sit back and soak it all in and actually think about what we've actually accomplished and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, I've got such a futuristic brain. I feel like most artists do, but we're always constantly thinking about what we can do better and what we can do next. So,
tell us a little bit about Crash and Burn and how you got that song.
First of all, I'm a really big Chris Stapleton fan, and I've known Chris for a long time. And Chris actually wrote this song called Crash and Burn, and for the longest time I'd heard it, I thought that Chris was going to go cut it on an album he was making. And then when I found out he was not going to cut it, I knew that I had to have it. I had no idea what I was going to do with Crash and Burn because it sounded so different, but I just knew that I wanted it for my record. And once we went in and recorded it, and once I put my voice on it, we just all kind of agreed that it needed to be the lead off the new record, just to kind of set the tone for the album. The album is definitely, I would say that Crash is a pretty solid representation of the vibe of the record. So, the fact that Crash and Burn is doing so well, I think that's a good indication for us.
Thomas Rhett's on the phone. If anybody's listening, we have a few people in our city that are trying to make the Nashville trip. They've recorded in Nashville and they're ready for that next step. What kind of advice would you give them as young musicians?
Man, I would say just don't take no for an answer. I think in this business there are way more no's than there are yeses, and I think it's how you deal with those no's that kind of get you to the point where you want to be. And I think that a lot of people, man, start out as songwriters, and I think that it's really good to start out as strictly just a songwriter because I think you really learn what kind of music you want to write, what kind of music you might want to play one day. And, you might get a few cuts on other people's records along the way, which kind of secure your credibility as a writer. So I would say both of those things. That was kind of a long answer, but it's not really a short response. So.
That's right. And what motivated you to want to write country music? What was that moment in your head where you're like, this is it. This is what I'm going to do. Let's go.
Honestly, man, because when I was in college, I didn't know what else I could do. I felt like I could have, moved back to Georgia and work with my granddaddy or my uncle. But for me, man, music's always been a huge passion of mine. And when I got to college, I started writing songs and just kind of felt like this was definitely the direction I needed to go in. And the fact that I was successful with it, really just secured my path, if you will.
Thomas Rhett, thank you for taking time with us this morning.
You got it, buddy. Thank you very much.